Hi guys, welcome to our live stream here at the Free State Project's little Sunday office. Hi Vince.
How's it going, Carla?
Great. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to be doing a little Q&A today to just discuss what the Free State Project is, where we are, and basically what I'd love to do is to invite you. If you're someone who's wondering where you can live more free, I want to let you know there's a solution to your problem and the solution project. So thank you for joining us, and we would love you to throw your questions in all the time if you're online. So get those questions ready, and we'll be able to answer them for you today.
Yeah, and this live stream, this whole live stream would not be possible if we didn't have the cameras. So we actually had technically three sponsors to thank right away. So Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate, his website is porcupinerealestate.com. He bought the first camera, and then the second one, actually, one of our volunteers, Morgan, he bought that one. His company is called Platonic Systems. Their website is platonicsystems.com. And you can see the links to their websites in the description of this video right now. So you can just look at the description and click away. And of course, the third camera was donated by everyone who has ever donated to the Free State Project. So we just decided we're going to buy the third one. So the third one is from you if you've ever donated to the Free State Project. And then we also want to say thank you because this is the first official episode of this show. So we definitely want to take a moment to thank all of the volunteers. So this thing is almost 20 years old, and we've had hundreds of people volunteer for the Free State Project over the years, and we just want to say thank you to every single person who has ever done anything for the Free State Project. We couldn't have done it without you. We wouldn't be here without you. And then actually, Carla, do you want to tell people about the new logo here?
Yes. So I'm sure everyone can see our shiny new step and repeat back here. So this is our lovely new logo. It may look very similar to the old one because the porcupine is our mascot. And why is that? Because it is a peaceful creature that you don't want to mess with. So that fits with our sort of libertarian views, right? It's don't tread on me and don't, live and let live. And so we have this beautiful new thing with, of course, the mountains, because we do have the mountains here in New Hampshire. New Hampshire has a little bit of everything, right? We've got the free coast, the sea coast, we've got the mountains, we've got valleys, farms, cities, urban, rural. So, we have something for everyone, I think, in our great little state of New Hampshire. So we have the logo, and we'd like to thank the volunteer, of course, who also did that work for us, Sarah. So thank you to you for that.
Yeah, we had three different graphic designers in our community come together to make this, to put their heads together. So it's really, really a cool thing. We have such a wonderful community here in New Hampshire. And so before I start asking Carla all of the questions that we have to get to today, I just want to say again what Carla mentioned a second ago, which is throw your questions into the comments right now. If you're watching this live on any platform, whether it's Facebook, our page, or our group, or YouTube, then please join the comments and throw your questions in there, and we'll do our best to answer them by the end of the show today. And if you have any ideas for future shows. So for example, if you have an idea for a topic for a show in the future, let us know. Like maybe you're interested in renting or buying, or you want to know where to live in the state, or you want to know about the political process here, more about that, or maybe you're really into guns and you want to know more about the gun laws. Any topic you can think of, throw it into the comments now or later, and we'll be able to see that. So are you ready to get started, Carl?
I am always ready.
So I think
born ready, as they say.
There's only one question we have to start this whole show, because this whole show is about the Free State Project and frequently asked questions. So why don't we start with, what is the Free State Project?
Sure, the $1,000,000 question. The Free State Project is a movement of libertarians who are all moving to New Hampshire so that we can concentrate in one geographic area and actually institute a free society based hopefully on consent And we've been around now for, as you said, almost 20 years. It's in terms of its organizational structure, we are a 501c3. So we are a educational charity. We basically tell people how awesome New Hampshire is. And we want to keep New Hampshire awesome. So this come from, how did we start? So the Free State Project is the brainchild of Jason Sorens. At the time, this is probably 18, 20 years ago, he wrote this little essay when the internet was still pretty new. And I always like to say, I think the Free State Project in some ways was born on the internet, right? So Jason wrote this essay and he said, you know what? We don't win anywhere. Libertarians just don't get ahead, you know. But what would happen if we all kind of came together? There are millions of libertarians. So if we all concentrated in one place, could we actually make a difference? So he wrote this essay, he threw it out on the internet. People responded. They were like, that is the coolest idea ever. Of course, because we like market conditions and competition. Everyone was like, my state, move to my state, right? There was a strong movement from New Hampshire to say, come here. The value proposition is written into the state itself. New Hampshire is a low tax state. We have no income tax. We have no sales tax. As I mentioned earlier, you know, geographically, it's like a little country, you know, like we're like a little country. We have a border, we have the coast, we have a deep sea port. So if anyone wants to bring their cruise ships, you know, feel free, seasteaders, to come, you know, work with us here. And so the idea was, okay, let's take a vote on which state. So people voted on the state, New Hampshire won. And then in 2003, we sort of kicked it off and we said, all right, guys, if 20,000 people agree that we should do this crazy thing, then we're going to do it. Now, typical libertarians, we were all like, screw it. I'm not even going to wait for the other people to come, you know, let's just move. And so people have been moving since 2003. I would say 2008 with Ron Paul, that sort of seemed to kick off a lot of appetite for that, of course. And then since then, we've just had thousands and thousands of people who are concentrating in the state. And of course, a shout out to our locals. You know, New Hampshire's slogan is live free or die. Not the best slogan in the middle of a pandemic, I can't lie. But you know, I mean, really, honestly, it is. Whether there's a pandemic or not, live free or die means something to us, and we are people who are incredibly passionate and liberty forward. So we're here. I'm genuinely grateful. I mean, I think it's a cool notion, and New Hampshire is an incredible place to live.
Absolutely. And I would say the Free State Project also means a lot of different things to different people. So let me ask you, Carla, what does the Free State Project mean to you personally?
Wow. I saw that question on the list and I was like, that's a hard one. I mean, for me personally, it's so interwoven into my life now. I mean, the Free State Project is a big chunk of my life. I mean, I'm living my life liberty forward. I'm really trying to embody, I think, what liberty means, at least to me. And I think you said a very important thing, which is liberty means different things to different people. And that's really the important part, because that's where the live and let live comes in, and the consent comes in, and the voluntarism comes in, is acknowledging that we each are unique human beings and that we have this sense of self-ownership. So for me, the Free State Project is my life. You know, I'm a lawyer by training, and, you know, I've run the organization. I've volunteered for the organization. I'm back helping with PorkFest for the 4th official time. You know, so for me, the Free State Project is the best answer for my values in the world. I'm an immigrant. I'm from South Africa. I've lived all over the world. I've traveled extensively, and when I was kind of going, what do I want for my future? I did look at many different options. I mean, I looked at different countries. I looked at leaving the States. I looked at just giving up. I looked at all of those things. And the Free State Project, for me, the solution is in it. We can win. We are winning. New Hampshire will be the libertarian state when everything. And so for me, it means my life.
Well, you talked a little bit about, your story and where you're from and why you're here, but can you tell us maybe some lessons that you've learned along the way? So you made it here from multiple locations,
Yep.
and so have thousands of others, but what kind of advice would you give to the next group of people who are trying to make it here?
Sure. So I moved in 2008 in February. Do not recommend. So the number one lesson I would give anyone back home, don't move in a blizzard. But if you're going to move in a blizzard, move into New Hampshire, where porcupines, which is kind of what we call ourselves, will come and help you, is the way to do it. So I moved to February 2008 in a blizzard. About 15 people at the time showed up at our house. They helped us move in. That is sort of a culture and a pay it forward habit, I guess, or expectation, right? We are a community. We're a movement. We want to engage everyone who comes. So people move. Other people come help you move. For me, lessons learned mostly has been genuinely sort of positive. I highly recommend for anyone who is curious about what we are, or, what is the Free State Project? What are these events you do? Come meet the community, come to our events, come a few times, volunteer. If you don't live here yet, get involved. There are 100 ways to get involved. You can help with tech stuff. You can help behind the scenes. You can do calling parties, which we're now doing remote. And in fact, one is taking place right as we speak. So, just follow us on social media, do all of that good stuff.
Well, speaking of social media, I can tell you that, so I moved in 2010, and I know I've been monitoring FSP social media for a long time now, and I can tell you that one of the most popular questions we get is, where exactly in New Hampshire do people move to? And so I'd like you to answer that one. So we have, they move all over the state, but what would be your answer to that very popular question?
Well, so yes, of course, everyone, they move all over, I think that's what makes it unique. People sometimes want to be like, oh, it's going to be a free town, or it's going to be, is everyone concentrating in one place? And they're not. New Hampshire is the destination. And as I mentioned, the beauty of that is because each part is different. So, I'm a big city girl. I wanted to be in our massive Manchester, New Hampshire city, population 120,000. It allows you to be a big fish in a small pond, so I'm not complaining. I moved from New York City. So people move where it fits their values. This is a big ask, right? Like, we're literally telling people, hey, if you care about liberty, and you should care about liberty because it's going by the wayside, like fast, chop, chop, right? So if you care about it, come here, and then you have this choice to make, because you're actually uprooting your life in a fairly significant way. So you actually get to go, what is it that I love? What do I want to do? Where do I want to live? Am I a farmer? Am I a city person? Am I whatever? So you have that opportunity. The one thing I do recommend generally, although the real estate market's so hot that maybe we should put a pin in this, but I do generally say, if you're going to come, maybe rent the first year so that you can find out where exactly is going to work best for you. A little known secret is north-south is really easy to travel in the state, but east-west is not. So I know, like, when we moved, we were originally in Hudson, and it was like 10 minutes outside of Nashua, which is one of the bigger southern towns. And I didn't realize, oh, wait, it looks like it's only, it's 10 miles, but it takes forever because it's a little windy road, it's east-west. So I recommend that people come, if you can, rent for a while. But then other people are like, no, they know exactly what they want. And they're like, I want a small holding within 25 minutes of a big city or within distance of an airport. We have the Manchester International Airport here. You can get flights, easily to like a lot of the hubs, direct two places a little more, but it's fine to fly to Dulles to get to BWI or to go to Dallas. So, come, decide what you want, and you can find it here. North of the Notch, up where we have PorgFest, is a little more rural. It's cheaper. I honestly think there's a lot of opportunity up there. The towns are sort of revitalizing in these tourist ways. So maybe if you're a small business owner who's interested in like, oh, I can buy a house for $80,000 and start a small business. Now with Elon Musk's Starlink, you can get your internet for $100 a month anywhere in the world, right? Because I know Bardo Farm, who live off the grid, they just got it, and their internet's faster than mine now. So yes, the opportunities are here. People should just really come and check it out.
So you've talked about, how people can move here, where they can move to, but after people get here, then what? What do people do when they get here? Do they just sit at home and do nothing? Do they just lose like they lose back in, where they moved from? Do they win? Like what goes on?
So, I always used to explain it like I look at so we're looking for activists, right? Like we are looking for people who want to make the world a better place and who believe that making the world a better place is done through allowing people to excel personally, right? So people so people come and they become activists. Some people run for office. We have, I don't think we have 100 Free Staters elected already, but we have a caucus of Liberty people in the State House now. And I should mention, New Hampshire's legislature is the third largest in the English-speaking world. We have 400 state reps and 24 senators. Yep. And so people start businesses, people lobby, people testify on bills, we suggest bills. There are various different organizations because really, the Free State Project is the movement bringing the people in.
That's right.
But then once people are here, they kind of do different things. So people have formed other organizations. We have the Get Involved PAC. They do the fundraising and pay for elections and help get people elected. We have the NHLA, which is the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. They actually look at thousands, like literally thousands of bills. If I could wave my magic wand, I would just be like, stop writing bills. let's just get rid of, for every bill you write, you got to take 3 away, right? Like that would make me happy. So, then we do rallies and protests, 420 stuff. I personally work on some right to know stuff, which is open government. So I think one of the ways that we can really eke out and help reform the state, be very pointed in knowing what they do, right? So if you're spending money, how are you spending it? If you're connected here, how are you connected? So right to know is a big issue for me. We have jury nullification, right? So one of the really cool things that I love about being here long enough is you can see from the starting point to the ending point, right? So with jury nullification, we passed a bill probably 10 years ago now. Some Liberty folks got a bill in that said, no, we're going to, the jury is allowed to nullify bad laws. So that comes out of like prohibition and that kind of stuff, right? Where they were like, yeah, okay, the law says you can't drink, but come on, everybody's doing it, right? So, and we've seen that happen with cannabis and that kind of stuff. So in that case, we actually passed a law saying the jury has the right to nullify bad laws. Then, by happenstance, there was a Free Stater who at the time was on the board of the Free State Project on a jury, and she knew what jury nullification was, and she was able to help the jury figure out in this particular case, which was a cannabis case of a white Rastafarian who got caught by the Coastal Guard flying a helicopter over his pot field. And the guy, they offered him a pretty sweet plea deal. And he was just like, nope, this is my religion. I am not going to cop out. I have rights, and I'm going to take it to the jury, and hopefully the jury will say this is bunk. And they did. We have cop blocking, so that is when people go out and just really help to hold the police accountable during their actions. And then we do neighborhoody stuff. Like my husband and I go out often, and we do litter pickups in the district that I've run for Senate now 3 times. 45% the last time. I may still take this old guy. It's going to happen. But, we do litter pickups. We had a chili cook-off yesterday. So people can get involved both politically, business-wise, training, culture, community. Like, really, there's something for everyone. And if it's not here, come start it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'll add one more thing to the jury nullification. I believe it's actually like centuries old, but I think it's more firm here. It's more enshrined in New Hampshire law than anywhere else. Because you're right. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, a judge cannot block a defense attorney from mentioning it. And I think even the judge are they required to mention it, or they're not
So the
required?
judge is now required to mention it. And the way it used to work, like people would be like, oh, but everyone has jury nullification, but they don't, right? Because unfortunately the prosecutors and the judge tend to now collude in the name of the state, right? They're not really representing justice. Yeah. And so they would work together to give the jury instructions to the jury that would often be like, we're just going to skirt around this. But what the bill in New Hampshire did is it actually said, okay, both the judge has to give clear instruction, but if the defense attorney doesn't like it, he's allowed to directly or she directly address the jury and be like, hey, you're allowed to nullify this crap, as we should.
And so those are some of the things that Free Staters have done after they moved here. But let's say somebody's not here and they want to find out what's going on. So how can someone who's not in New Hampshire find out what's going on in New Hampshire, whether it's the activism, meetups that we have going on? Where can they go?
So FSP.org is the source of all the magic. There are various different pages that, are primed to really be able to answer your questions. So FSP.org, we have all our social media, of course, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and all of that. And I think it's good to follow it just because that also gives you sort of a flavor and an everyday feel. We have a calendar.org/calendar. Yep. And that has, I think they're over, is it like 500?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow. So there are like over 500 events that are listed there. Really, because we've built a community, there's all this stuff that is just constantly going on. And most of it is liberty focused, but some of it is just genuinely also family, community, homeschooling, learn how to slaughter a turkey, whatever it is. So yeah, we have a lot of events going on.
So a lot of libertarians are watching right now, and they're getting excited, and they're thinking, wow, this thing is really cool. And then comes probably the most popular question that we ever get, which is going to be jobs. So we get a lot of questions about, how do I get a job? Let's say people are whether they're moving from next door in Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, or if they're moving from California or anywhere else. What kind of advice would you give people who are looking for a job?
The number one piece of advice I would give you is get a 603 area code phone, to be honest. Just, it is still a little folksy here. We only have one area code. It is 603, free 603. So if you are looking for a job, I would suggest doing that. But genuinely, if you go to fsp.org/jobs, or if you go on Facebook, I run a jobs alert page. And basically, we try and post jobs. I looked last week to give you a sense, and there were 454 software jobs in New Hampshire that paid more than $100,000. Wow. So, the work is here. Honestly, and I'm not sure if I'm segueing into something else, but, the unemployment rate in New Hampshire is currently 3.3%, and that's post-COVID, right? So it's usually 2.3%. look, if you want a job, if you want to work, we can find you something in New Hampshire. And also, again, it's that thing of come to the events, come visit, right? Because like with everything else, if you have a network, people will help you find that dream job. So the job market is attractive from, entry level sort of, jobs, if you want to start at a dunk or whatever, you can do that, up to, like really sophisticated jobs. Of course we are, although I always hate to say it, but, we're an hour from Boston, and that is a giant job market as well. There is a lot of biotech and software work there. Mm-hmm. So, my husband, for example, did have had a Massachusetts job, and with that comes a Massachusetts salary that you then get to spend in tax-free New Hampshire. So those are benefits as well.
Yeah. Well, the job question is definitely number one, and then the next most popular question, I always like receiving, but I'm going to let you have a chance to answer this first.
Look, can I guess?
I love answering this question because it's so easy. But people complain about the weather, of course. So like, hey, New Hampshire is cold, right? And there might be some snow there from time to time. What would you say to the, I like to affectionately refer to these people as weather wimps, because after Carla gets done having her way with you weather wimps, I'm going to have my way with you too. So what would you say to the weather people?
Well, to the weather people, I say, first of all, New Hampshire may be cold, but it's warmer than Mars. Also, I'm African, and if I can do it, anyone can do it. Also, it's not actually that cold, mm-hmm. right? So for the folks who are like in Florida, I'm going to throw down a little bit. Tom Woods, don't take this too personally. But, if we're talking about how different states are going to compete going forward, mm-hmm. some states, will trend more red, say, and New Hampshire is kind of purple, which makes it unique. But I look at that purple as actually makes it kind of libertarian. When everything is said and done, if the dust settles on all of this, there's only going to be one libertarian state, and it's going to be New Hampshire. So, if the cold is going to scare you off, maybe liberty is not for you. It's not that cold. In Florida, you run from aircon to aircon. Here in New Hampshire in the winter, you might have to go from, you put on a coat, but you're literally going from a heated room to a heated room. We're not barbarians. Mm-hmm. It's fine. So, if I can do it, anyone can do it. The snow is actually pristine and lovely, and snow days are a gift. So don't let that scare you off. And honestly, worst case scenario, you go on holiday for 2 weeks to a beach somewhere in February. That's not the worst of things either.
And when it comes to weather, I always like to direct people to one of my favorite pages on our website, the FSP.org/weather page. So if you go there, you'll see several quotes from people, talking about the weather and the snow. And one of my favorites is, my own, because on that page is a quote from me where, I used to live in Florida. I moved here. I lived in South Florida for 26 years, and I can tell you it is really hot down there. Why did I move? Well, one of the many reasons was because it is hot. But also, listen, a lot of people move to Florida, but they're not going to change their ways. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, I've, in the political sphere in Florida, these people they're neocons. They're not changing their ways. They tend to be old. They're when I say old, I mean they're older people generally tend to not change their opinions at all. So it's not really a future thinking framework, if you will. So I would say if you're to a point where you love liberty more than you love shorts, then you need to consider the Free State Project. You need to say, maybe New Hampshire is a place for me. But if you like shorts better than you like liberty, then, go to Florida, and there are many other places in the world you can go. One of the other questions we get from people, Carla, is about taxes. So, of course, New Hampshire isn't perfect yet. We do have some taxes. So what kind of things can you say, taxes that don't exist here in New Hampshire at all, and then maybe some other taxes that do exist?
Yeah, so I have a very distinct memory of going to the dollar store in New Hampshire once and being shocked that it was literally like the dollar was a dollar. It's not like where you go to a dollar store in another state and it's $1.39 because they got sales tax on it, right?
Steep.
Yeah, or whatever the number is, 109
okay.
or whatever. Might have been California. Maybe it was cigarettes. Whatever. Okay. So we are a low tax state, right? No sales tax, no income tax. There is a dividends tax. That is something that we're working on. I think you said a really important thing. It's not perfect. If it was perfect, everyone would live here. I mean, duh. So, it's going to be perfect one day.
That's right.
And then we will have strong border controls. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Keeping the mask.
If you freedom means, if you want to come hustle and you want to come work, come. We want that, right? We want that entrepreneurial spirit. But it's a low tax state. We do have property taxes, and that is something that does come up from time to time. People will say, but it seems like the property taxes are a little high. I'm like, it depends.
Yeah.
So it depends where you're living. There are literally cities or little towns, really, where there is zero property taxes. You get what you pay for. So, in the interest of full disclosure, that's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But property taxes, it's a single line item, so that also, I think, long-term creates an opportunity for us. So one of the things that is very quaint and cute about New Hampshire is we still have town halls. So there is an annual general meeting that each town has where people go to the town and they all sit in their little wooden building and they have the written budget and they go through it line by line and they fight about who's paying for what, right? So it is really participatory and very direct democracy still. So long term, I think it's an opportunity that we have the property taxes, and predominantly our property taxes go to fund the schools. Now we are in a evolution, I think, in terms of government-run schools that is going to start to change, and we are seeing a significant change here in New Hampshire. We have education freedom accounts that are coming up. That is basically like a savings account. And we have homeschooling, unschooling. To give you an idea, at the start of this COVID crap, I actually said, well, what could be a positive that we could get out of this? And I thought, well, if we get people not going to public school anymore, or government-run schools, as I like to call it, then maybe that'll be a win. In Manchester, enrollment in government-run schools has dropped 30% this year.
Wow.
They're closing schools. So that may sound terrifying to some people, but to us, that sounds pretty good. So long term, I would like to think that our property taxes will start to go down as we privatize more services. I mean, the way I like to describe it to my friends and neighbor here in New Hampshire is government, there's an app for that. So anything the government does, we could do for cheaper in the private sector. So that's property taxes. You may have more points. Well,
I think that everything you said there was accurate, as well as, now a lot of adults are getting their kids out of government schools and they're homeschooling them and unschooling them and going to maybe to private schools instead. And there's a massive community here related to that. I would recommend go to fsp.org/education, and you can find out all the answers to those education-related questions there. So if you're a parent now and you're wondering about that, just go to our website, fsp.org/education. You can learn more. No matter if you want your kids to go to a government school or a private school or homeschool or whatever, there's a whole bunch of information there and links. I do want to pause for a moment and ask, I know we've been streaming for a little while now. Do we have any questions from the audience, Hans?
Yep, we definitely have a bunch of questions.
Oh, good.
Just starting from the top down, we may not be able to get from everything.
Sure.
But one interesting question: how are the mask mandates up there?
Okay.
In New Hampshire? So.
Go ahead.
So New Hampshire does have a current mask mandate, but I say who cares?
That's right.
I would say one of the things that sort of unites, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I will speak for myself, and I would say a good group of free staters kind of subscribe to, I think it's a Heinlein quote, right? The one that says, if there's a law and I like the law, I'll follow the law. And if there's a law and it's a stupid law, I don't follow that law, right? Because we approach life through a lens of morality, right? So we do have a mask mandate. It was introduced very late by the governor. It was introduced mostly as a trade-off on some political backroom deal situation. So compared to other states, though, I would say the compliance is fairly down. I mean, we've all still continued to go out. We still go to restaurants. I know for a fact Vince has never worn a mask. I have one that says this is a mind control device. I've only had to pull it out once. Although the governor did, he was very excited when we were taking the photos for the Senate race. And he looked over at me and he had his Patriots mask on and I did not have a mask on. And, we were already in the State House. I was already breaking all the rules. And he goes, "Oh, Carla, I'm so excited to get a photo with you in a mask." And I was like, "No, Chris, no, you're not getting a photo of me in a mask." So it has been a disappointment because the governor generally is fairly liberty-ish. He certainly understands that, but he's also a politician and he's trying to run for higher office. And so he's playing a different game. So ultimately what it boils down to is how are you going to live your life? What are the choices you're going to make for you and your family? And so again, like if you want to wear a mask, do it. If you don't want to wear one, don't do it. It's that simple.
It really is that simple because the governor was kind enough to put clause number 6 in there. So Emergency Order 74, clause 6 gives the medical exemption, which I have played, 20 times. And I still, as Carla mentioned, I have yet to wear the mask. So if you don't want to wear it, you don't have to wear it. It's totally okay. And there's nothing... according to his own emergency order 74, you don't have to wear it.
And actually, that was something that I was very mindful of. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a lawyer by training, so I did go read all the EOs, and it was wiggily worded. So to the credit of whoever was writing those things, I think they were kind of trying to accommodate all the sides, right? There are the nervous Nellies and the scared people, and they're seeking one thing, and they're the liberty people, and they're looking for something else. And sometimes as a politician, you just gotta kind of try and give everyone what they want while holding your nose. I will say this, for my birthday, we went up to the ice castles in February, and I think we were the only free state or the only New Hampshire car. It was mostly Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And it was clearly people coming in with little kids and just wanting to be. But this is, they build this giant ice castle and it's outside. And it was February 18th, right? It's outside, it's cold, whatever. And we show up and there's a line like you would see at Disney World. And there are 8 of us and we don't have masks. We're granite staters. And there are all these other people and they're outside in their masks. And the lady comes over with her clipboard. Now you can already see, she's like, "Oh, no, So she goes, "Hi, I'm sorry. You have to wear a mask." And all 8 of us go, "We're exempt." And she goes, "All of you?" And we're like, "Yep." And she just left us alone. And I was like, and if that doesn't work, we're outside and we're 6 feet apart from everyone else. And, and they'll let you slide, and yeah.
We could tell stories all day about our, battles with the mask people, but what other good questions are out there, Hans?
Here's a fun one. So one participant wants to know, what is the diversity of thought in the Free State Project? Specifically, would you consider this to be a libertarian movement, or are there a significant amount of members that are also identifying as anarchists or free thinkers?
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, we are big tent. I use the word libertarian, and when I use a small L libertarian. I don't mean LP. There's actually very unique things that go on. I mean, I would say I'm a voluntarist for the most part, but I'm also a voluntarist who runs for office, so it gets confusing fast, right? For me personally, I'm like, we don't know what the path to liberty is going to be. Is it going to be that we just crack it through business and through alternatives like crypto, right? Or is it going to be through running for office and all of that? So I try a little bit of everything. But we are small L libertarian. I would say the one thing that unites us, like if you had to go, what is that one thing? It's the non-aggression principle, which is an ethical stance that says you will not initiate violence against someone else, but that you have the right to defend yourself if someone initiates it against you. And so in like if I was explaining it to a 3-year-old, it's like we're anti-bullying, and that goes both ways. You don't get to be the bully who tells everyone else, oh, it's not bullying when I do it, which is literally the government in a nutshell. So we run the gamut. We'll take everyone. We have veterans. We have left libertarians. We have, so basically it's all of us. But what we want is we want smart, peaceful people, I guess, in a nutshell. So.
And I can back that up, through our surveys over the years, people have identified different threads of libertarians, Some people, like you said, call themselves voluntarists or libertarians just with that word L, just with the small L, or, small broad. And basically just if you want to live free, we want you here next to us. So what other kind of questions do we have out there? And
actually, one thing I wanted to add, like for me, I actually, when I run for office, I run Republican, although, I call myself a Ron Paul Republican, so like a small L libertarian Republican. So it really does run the gamut. It's not that it's political or labely. It really is. It's people-y.
That's good. Anything else out there?
Yep. And actually, along those lines, there's also some questions in regards to how people kind of get involved in politics here, like whether through the LP or the NHLA. If you could care to do a brief overview.
Yeah, we talked a little about politics earlier, but what do people do, like more specifically here?
So, people run for office if that's their jam. As I mentioned earlier, you have to be here for 2 years in order to run. You have to be here for 7 years to run for the Senate and to run for governor. So the way people generally get involved, or I can speak specifically how I got involved, was no one wanted to run against the incumbent in my district. And so Marav Yakov, who was a big volunteer for us, was like, she and Mark Warden from Porcupine Real Estate, they do the Get Involved pack. And they were like, hey, will you at least put your name down? So a lot of times you get suckered by someone who's been here longer than you. Yeah. And then you get a taste of it, and sometimes it appeals, and sometimes it doesn't. For the most part, if you're in a district that leans Republican, you'll probably run Republican. Sometimes people run Democrat. We've had a little less success with that, or somehow because the Democrat Party is so lockstep. It seems like even if you're a libertarian Democrat, you kind of get lost in the shuffle because you're being told you have to vote a certain way. With the Republicans, they kind of let you vote a little differently. The Libertarian Party has had ballot access in New Hampshire. You have to go door to door and get a lot of signatures. It is possible. In 2018, when I ran for Senate, I actually ran as a fusion candidate. So I ran as both a Libertarian and a Republican, which is also one of those cute, weird things about New Hampshire. Yeah. There are all these like quaint little things. So if you're interested in politics and you want to come sooner rather than later so that we can do it. Get involved with the Get Involved PAC, get involved with the NHLA. Befriend the legislators who are already in office. Before you're even involved, you can be reviewing bills. You can be testifying on bills. This year has been really awesome because you can testify from home. So from the waist up, maybe you put a shirt on, but you're in your jammies and your slippers, and you can make a remarkable difference. It's really about human action. That's what we're about. And so you can get involved, and if you're interested, contact us, reach out, social media, all of that, and we can definitely, connect you with the right people.
Another really cool thing that I like about New Hampshire, I'm not sure how many other states have this, but Liberty Ballot. So you can actually go to libertyballot.com, right?
I think it's .org.
.org, and that's made by Free Staters. So they basically will take every single ballot in the entire state, all over in every single district, and they put, it's a sample ballot, and then they recommend that you vote for this candidate or that candidate. So if, let's say, you're really into, the higher races like, governor and state rep and state senate, maybe you don't know some of those smaller races, you don't know who to vote for, you can look to Liberty Ballot for advice as well. So there are a lot of different organizations that can help you vote pro-liberty here in New Hampshire. What else do we have there, Hans?
There's many questions about finding housing as well as jobs. And I know part of this will be covered in later sessions, but can you give me a brief overview of what we might cover in regards to those questions?
Yeah, so a lot of people ask about housing. We were actually going to talk about housing here in a minute, so we might as well talk about it now. Renting, buying, any advice for people?
I personally rented first to figure it out. I think it just depends on your flavor. It really depends on your preferences. Jobs, we covered a little bit. Again, I would just recommend going to the website. There's a lot of answers there. So FSP.org/jobs/housing, I believe.
Move to NH.
Move to NH.
Yeah.
But really, the jobs are here for the taking. Like, that's not an excuse. Mm-hmm. If you want to move to New Hampshire, we will help you find a job. Mm-hmm. And housing, the one thing I would mention is we actually are moving into a housing shortage in New Hampshire. The market, I think, because of the depopulation of the urban areas, right? Just because of all this COVID crap. So, the thinking people are starting to go, maybe I don't want to be like locked down in a giant city, if it comes to the zombie apocalypse. So real estate is getting tight in New Hampshire. The rental rate is very low. So if you are planning to come, definitely do reach out personally to us. Reach out to Mark Warden, Porcupine Real Estate. There are other Free Stater realtors. I might even do my license because I was like, well, maybe it's time, Renting can be a bit of a challenge, but we are trying to fix that. One of the things that the longer we're here, Free Staters are starting to form sort of property investment consortiums. Mm-hmm. We're starting to buy buildings. We're starting to rent those to other Free Staters. So we're really trying to, fit all the puzzle pieces together to create this holistic, truly voluntarist, libertarian, ANCAP, whatever label you want to give it, cryptomania. I call it the Yankee Hong Kong, right? And then someone the other day was like, well, look what happened to Hong Kong. And I was kind of like, well, precisely. It works both ways, right? Like, it's either like we got to fight to keep it free here, or it's like we are just making it free. So I hope that answered the question. Sorry.
I think this question is another really great opportunity for us to talk about how awesome our community is, because this is yet another example of how, the Free State product itself, we don't help you get housing, but our people can help you get housing. The Free Staters just in these different groups. So if you want to learn more, just visit our website, fsp.org/move to NH. That's the move page. And there's tons of information there on where you should move or where you might want to move. You can also connect with our community. So it's fsp.org/community, and you can learn, who lives where. And maybe if you're more into, family-oriented friends, like you might want to move over here, or maybe you want to move to more of a nightlife city. You might want to move over here. So I can't stress it enough. Just go to our website and type whatever you want into the search. So up at the top, just like any other website, there's a little search bar. So just type whatever you want into there, and you'll be able to find out more. I do want to, do we have anything else there, Hans? Or
There's some time. We can perhaps move on.
Okay.
Just a few more questions.
Okay. So I continue here? Okay. So I do want to mention one other thing, Carla, because this is something that I think is very important to both of us. You mentioned earlier you are an immigrant. You were born in South Africa. You did some traveling. I did some traveling. So, it's one thing for us to say, people want to escape the really horrible states like New York and California, but it's a whole totally different thing for people abroad to try and escape the tyranny from other countries, which is, much worse than living in America. So What would you say to those people who are watching right now? Their journey to New Hampshire is obviously a lot more difficult than someone who's moving from like Maine or Massachusetts or Vermont or any of the other states. What can you say to those people?
I would say good luck. Well, there is resources on fsp.org/immigrate, so people can definitely look there. I would suggest Russian rights. No, I'm kidding. I mean, obviously, there's all the avenues that are available to immigrants. For me personally, I mean, I have to say that my long-term goal for New Hampshire would be that it is either fully nullifying all federal laws or possibly even independent. So, maybe 10 years from now, this would be an easier answer to answer because you would be immigrating to an independent, pro-immigration country. But you're going to have to do your research. It does work like everything else. I will say this, we have had free staters. In fact, I go to a party tonight for someone who has become an American citizen who came as a political refugee from Russia. And so that is an avenue that is available to some people. I have met other free staters who have either political dissidents or, at some stage, in some ways, we are all dissidents now, right?
Yep.
So I also think it's going to depend on your flavor of and appetite for risk, right? You might actually decide to come under the radar. I personally wouldn't recommend that. I think that's a hard life. But, options are available, and I would recommend, definitely consult an immigration lawyer if that's an option, and just explore those things. Of course, there are high-tech visas that are available to people with certain specific skills. That's also an option. So, barring that, yes, green card wedding. Oh, I came here.
That's right. You won the green card lottery.
I did.
And that's why you're here with us. I can't stress it enough, that webpage. So fsp.org/immigrate. So a lot of people, by the way, we're throwing a lot of these web pages at you guys. We want you to help, spread these pages all across social media. So going forward, after today, when you see people asking questions about jobs, put the jobs link in there. Say, hey, so-and-so, I heard from the Free State Project, they have a webpage, fsp.org/jobs, and you can throw that at them. Let's say somebody is, there's your passport. We want to talk about the passport here in a minute. If you see somebody from abroad and they're asking questions about immigration, send them to the Immigrate page, fsp.org/immigrate, and it spells out exactly how to get here, step 1, step 2, steps 3. It's really all there, and all the links are there. So we have so much, basically, a self-guided way that you can get here to join us. We do want to move forward a little bit quicker here. All of these stories and more, Carla's told her story a little bit. I've told you a little bit of mine. You can find more stories from real people who have made their way here. fsp.org/movers. So just go there and type in our website, fsp.org/movers, and you can just see story after story after story, people escaping from California, New York, Florida, Illinois, everywhere, from all over the whole country and all over the whole world. We mentioned earlier about our social media, so we have links all over the place to our subreddit, Facebook, Twitter, Mine's MeWe. We have a Discord. We're on Gab now, of course. If you want videos, YouTube, Odyssey Library. You
should mention the 101 Reasons.
Yeah,
Vince
okay.
actually produced that. Yeah, so that's like a feature-length movie that really talks up New Hampshire, and it gives the 101 reasons why you should move here. There are hundreds more than that, but 101 are pretty good. And they can find that on YouTube, right?
Yeah, so that one is on the 101 Reasons channel. So just type in 101 Reasons, Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, and that'll come up. It's a free documentary. It's an hour long, 170,000 views or something last time I checked it. It's definitely helped a lot of people come here, and I've met people who have moved here because of it. So crowdfunded, and you can watch it for free on YouTube and on Facebook as well. Also when you're on our website, throw your email in there. We'll send you like maybe 2 or 3 emails a month. We're not incredible. We're not going to spam you every single day. So we want you to be connected to us. So stay connected to our cause. We'll send you, a couple of emails a month, and you can stay connected with us. Before we get involved with what I think is going to be maybe your favorite topic to talk about, PorkFest. Do we have any other questions from the audience there, Hans?
There's an interesting one. What's the deal with the state-run liquor stores?
Oh, okay, state-run liquor stores.
Oh my God. So I went to see Nick Gillespie from Reason Magazine once, did a talk in Boston, and a whole crew of us went out there, and it was a really good, fun night. But he was ragging on us so hard about that. So, I mean, the short answer is it's just old-fashioned prohibition BS. Right? You can buy everything except hard liquor. You can buy wine and beer at any corner store. For hard liquor, you actually have to still buy that at the government stores. It's basically a racket. I mean, it's a short version. It's, New Hampshire's tax-free. They keep the prices really, really low. And then we do get a lot of it looks invisible to the consumer, but there is a tax actually on the alcohol, and that funds a good portion of a lot of stuff in the state, right? Because we don't have other things. Is it ideal? Is it perfect? No. People have tried to privatize it in the past. There is two private full-service liquor stores. One of them is in the North Country, where we have PorkFest, which we will talk about in a hot second. So yeah, it's weird. It's annoying. It is what it is. If that's your beef, if that's something you're really passionate about, come change it. We would love the help. I mean, we think it's stupid too. So yeah, come fix that problem. And in fact, for anything that you are going to criticize about New Hampshire, I have one answer. I'm like, it's not perfect. If you want that thing, come make it so.
Yeah, and also, by the way, the price of liquor is very low. It's so low that people come across the border all the time, every day from Maine, Vermont, and Massachusetts to buy up a ton of liquor here. So much that whenever you see those reports come out, which states drink the most, New Hampshire's, I think it's either always number one or almost always number one, because, we're skewed because so many people come across the border to buy the cheap liquor and booze here. So do we have anything else, Hans, before we get talked about PorkFest?
There's definitely a lot of questions about jobs. I know we've covered this quite a bit, but maybe if we can just give an overview on what we might want to do for another session.
Okay. So in the future, probably the next show, but if not that one, then the next one, we're definitely going to talk about jobs. And it's going to be a whole entire show about jobs. So I would say for today, please visit fsp.org/jobs. Also in the future, coming soon, because you guys tuned in, I'll give you a little update, a little inside scoop. We're currently revamping that page to give you something even more actionable, something even more enticing. So visit the page, fsp.org/jobs, while you can still see the old version, and then in the future you can see the newer, better version. But we're going to devote a whole show to that because we get so many questions about that particular topic. But there's a whole bunch of self-guided information if you visit fsp.org/jobs. I do want to transition into PorkFest now.
Yes.
We have a ton of exciting news to get to, and I know this is it's something that's very near and dear to your heart, Carla. This will be your 4th time organizing PorkFest. What can you tell us?
All right, so PorkFest is going to be bananas. It's going to be awesome. We are already at hands down record sales. We've sold 1,600 tickets. Vince will say it's 1,581, but I'm just going to round it up to 1,600. And it's March. So, if you're going to come to the 18th annual Porcupine Freedom Festival held in the alarmingly white mountains. Okay, I'm going to have to explain that joke. Someone, UNH, our university up here, University of New Hampshire, came out with some crazy report. And the headline of the report was New Hampshire is alarmingly white. I mean, population-wise, it is 97% white, but I wasn't sure why it's alarming. So I find the fact that it's called the White Mountains and that headline funny. So anyway, neither here nor there. It will be June 21st through the 27th up in Lancaster at Rogers Campground. We have a incredible, stellar lineup. We have Tom Woods coming back. We have Jeffrey Tucker coming back. We have Naomi Wolf, who spoke at Liberty Forum years ago, coming back. Naomi Wolf, who of course is a, more left, she's been really good on masks. She's been really good on the lockdowns and all of that. PorgFest, as you guys can see scrolling on the screen there, it's a family-oriented, week-long celebration of liberty. We have talks and panels. We have kids activities. There's really something for everyone. There are parties at night. There's a bonfire. There's music. So it's basically we come together. I love it when people come for the whole week. I really do think that gives people a good sense of the community. You sort of start to find your tribe within the tribe. Other speakers we're going to have coming is Scott Horton from antiwar.com. Jordan Page, the singer, will be back. It's always cool. People sponsor him to come, so he'll be doing his music and probably some talks. We have Angela McArdle coming out from LA. There'll be Gene Epstein from the Soho debate. On Wednesday night, they will actually be streaming the Soho Forum from PorgFest. The debate, I believe the topic is when will crypto replace FRNs?
Okay.
Little throwdown there.
We have a lot of crypto people here.
Yeah, we have, and then one of the things we're doing that we started last year. So I'm just going to, let's call it a hashtag humble brag. Maybe it's not even that humble. We'll just straight up call it a brag, okay? We held PorgFest last year. We crazy Free Staters up in New Hampshire were the only people worldwide to hold a large scheduled event as promised. It was fair enough. It was an outdoor event. I invited the governor. I told the governor, look, we're doing this. I don't really care what your orders are. This is a First Amendment and Second Amendment protected assembly, and we will go ahead as planned. We did not have any health repercussions. Right. Everything went as planned. We had more than 1,000 people came. It was a wonderful experience. I will say this, the parents of children who were punished for these stupid decisions that the government was making, the gratefulness, like these parents would come to me and they were like, thank you for letting my children have a normal week this summer. So we want all those families to come back. We want everyone to come. Ladies, we're going to have a ladies' village where you can all gather together if you're like a little nervous about the 97% male to female ratio. Like forget about white and everything else. It's the dudes versus the gals. Come on out. We'll have your back. It's going to be fabulous. So last year, Dennis Pratt, who is the main organizer for this year, huge shout out to Dennis. He's done an amazing job. He's putting together this incredible lineup. Part of his vision was how can we decentralize a lot of this in the campground. So this year we're really leaning into that. So we'll have all these fabulous speakers who will, be in the pavilion and on the main stage. But then we're also creating these little villages across the campground. There's a Mises Caucus village. There's going to be the ladies village. There's a crypto village. A lot of our little community centers across the state will be having their own things. One of the things we saw last year that I thought was really cool is a lot of Free Staters who live here already kind of did maybe like 20 plates dinner, so someone was making jerk chicken or someone made a curry, and it wasn't like, okay, I have to feed 3,000 people. It was like, I feel like cooking a little extra tonight and I'll sell, 15 extra plates, and wow, now suddenly I've made $300 tonight for just, hustling a little extra. So we're going to have these villages across the campground. Hotels, close to sold out. Campsites are still available, but they're going fast. If you're not someone, the Grand Mountain View, I believe, which is the fancy hotel, may be also sold out at this stage. Downtown. So what do you need to do? if you're into glamping, I would recommend, and you have resources and you were going to stay at one of the fancy hotels, look into renting an RV. We still have RV sites. We're going to use the whole of Rogers this year. I think we're going to be like from side to side, right?
It's incredible.
I think really, honestly, if there's a year to come to PorcFest, this is the year. Because also, and Vince and I joke about this a lot, but sadly, tyranny and totalitarianism is good for us. It's good for our business, right? Like, we want more people to wake up and to come here and help make a difference. So if you're curious, if you're Liberty curious, if you're Free State Project curious, if you just like one of these speakers, if you love Dave Smith, the comedian, he and his crew and my friend Louis Perez from We the Internet are doing a big comedy night on Thursday night. But really, come for the whole week. Come on Monday. You kind of, have a time to ease in a little bit. Things start to ramp up. We kick off on Tuesday. Wednesday, it starts to get busier. Thursday, now things are cooking. Friday, and then Saturday, and then Sunday, we are all tired, and I'll have lost my voice, and, and then we'll all be ready to go home. Or you stay for another week. Some people are actually talking about renting for the entire summer up there. So there's I think it's called Make PorcFest Permanent. So I think people are talking about actually just getting seasonals and staying up there through winter time again. So come for PorcFest and never leave. Why not?
I wanted to really drive home two things that you said earlier. First of all, I want to drive home that you and Dennis and all the PorcFest team last year, you really pulled it off. The whole world was collapsing, and everyone's going crazy. And you guys said, no, we're going to still have the same event at the same time, at the same place, the same exact dates as we said we would have it in January, last January. And so you paused for a moment there to collect yourself. And then when you saw the coast was pretty much clear, right? You said, no, we're just going to go forward anyway. So I just want to thank you and your team again for what you were able to do last year. And you just did it. You didn't care what anybody else said. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I also want to drive home something. In fact, I want to invite you to drive something home, even more what you said earlier. PorcFest is for a lot of different kinds of people. So some people are more the young people, and maybe they want to come to PorcFest and experience the more party atmosphere. But then other people might be older, or they might have kids. So I want you to, talk a little bit more about how no matter who you are, what kind of personality you have, as long as you love liberty, you're going to be welcome here, and you're going to find friends here. And I'm wondering if you could kind of drive that home a little bit more.
Well, honestly, you just said it in a nutshell, right? In the end, we're a big tent, and it really is about, if you're liberty forward, if that's your passion, if you really think about these things, if you're a deep thinker and or if you're not a deep thinker, clearly I'm not a deep thinker. So why are we pretending? But come, there's going to be something for everyone. There is really, for some people kind of don't really enjoy that party vibe too much. There's hiking around. There's, you can do little day trips if you want to. But honestly, the speaker setup is going to be really fascinating, interesting. There are some really great talks that are going to come up. If you want to come hustle, maybe come sell some stuff, small plates, whatever, we welcome that. In fact, the more the merrier. So really, if you're curious about the Free State Project, I would say PorcFest and Liberty Forum, which is our winter event, these are the ways to do it, because I think it's such a cool, interesting idea. If you asked at the start of this, and maybe we'll wrap up this way, you had asked me, what does the Free State Project mean to me? And I'm like, the first thing I did with the Free State Project is I came out for PorcFest, and it was 2005, I believe. And we were up at Rogers, and then for a while they moved it away, but ours was up at Rogers. There were maybe 100 people. I was coming from New York City, I was a cool city girl, and it was all these dudes with long beards and guns, and I was just like, oh my God, where am I? What is happening? But then I talked to the people, and I was like, yes, you're interesting. Yes, you think about the world in the way I do. Yes, you care about the things I care about. And it just started from there. So as our community grows, we get to showcase what we are and what we've built. And we need more builders. We need reinforcements. We're doing it, but the more, the merrier. The more people, more dynamic it is. More people means more ideas, means more ways of doing things. There are things we've tried in the past that didn't work, that if we can do them again, will work. We've created the appetite. We've created the thing. So if you come to PorgFest, you're going to find your tribe. You're going to learn something new. You're going to be amazed by something. You're going to teach someone something, right? Because that's part of it, is just being able to talk to people and share our shared passion for liberty that leads to so many other things. So porgfest.com, the tickets are only $50, which is ridiculous. So we had the early porcupine that was $30. We now at $50. It's going to go up to $75. And then, yes, and I'm going to say this, there will be and I'm calling it the late prick ticket for the people who wait too long to buy a ticket, because the longer you wait, the harder you make my job. I don't know how many porta potties to. This is like a playful little marketing thing that we've created to help people assimilate. We are scaling. Vince has done an incredible job just, actually streamlining so much of our processes, making sure we're really capturing people and all of that. So we're going to have these waves of people coming in. We are a large community. We are a decentralized community. These are advantages, but also lends itself to challenges. So the thinking with the passport was, let's create a little roadmap that'll help new people as they come in to orient better. It kind of tells you things to do from, politics, be able to identify for liberty legislators, or be a good neighbor, go exchange your emergency phone numbers with your neighbors, if something happens, that's part of our shtick, right? We believe in super concentrated localism. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're a localized movement that's concentrating together, and that means, and we don't believe in force. So if I want to persuade you of something, or I want to persuade my lady who lives next door to me, I gotta talk to her. So it might be useful to actually know what her name is or what her phone number is, right? So be a good neighbor. There's crypto, agorism, and all of that. We're going to be making a specific PorgFest passport as well, which will help you go and meet vendors and go meet people on the campground. We are still giving out sponsorships. That information will be online. So if people are interested in sponsoring, if anyone's with us and they want to sponsor the named pavilion, give me 10 grand and you can call it whatever you want. You can also sponsor Dave Smith for $5,000. So that's my story. I'm super excited. I came to my first one in 2005. I organized it in 2009 and 2010. We doubled it in size then. We've grown. We've done a little bit of this. This is going to be it, right? So this is the year you want to be able to say it's random, because it's not even a number, but you're going to be like, I went to the 18th annual Porcupine Freedom Festival, and it was the PorgFest you had to go to.
I love it, and I want to say again, thank you for the passports, for leading that. I think this is a high quality document. The pages are very nice, like when you touch them. So when you come out to PorgFest, you can get one of these. I just want to say, thanks for joining me here, Carla.
Thanks for
talking about this.
Sure.
Obviously, it's probably both of our favorite subjects to talk about. The Free State Project, and I think that it was a great show, episode number 1. We were able to cover a lot of topics and give a lot of people answers to their questions, even live here. So tune in to our next show. If you want to know what's going on with that, jump on the newsletter again on our website, fsp.org. Throw your email in there, and we'll be able to tell you where to go and when the next show is going to be.
Yeah, let us know who you are so that we can reach out, so we can build that connection and we can build the network, because it is a process, and we want to know who you are, so let us know.
Yep. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.